I'm stressed ngoba we have to go to part 2. I even had to take off my jacket ngiyafuthumela manje when we're talking about land. Let's quickly finish up before we have to take on part 3, of which I don't think any of us have that time. I ended up February 2025 ukuthi AFA granted a priority review, right, designation for ELAN as a PrEP, which signals really a recognition of significant public health impact and unmet need. Siyazi ukuthi kudala siphila ne-HIV in this world, you know, sivele sayitholile. So I can't say this enough. I can't emphasize this enough. It's really a public health concern that's been here since forever. And Gilead, manufacturer of this land, it submitted regulatory applications to the European Medicines Agency and other agencies. Remember, in South Africa, we are closely aligned in the European agencies. Prior to is close aligned to the European agency. So from May to July 2025, as you can see over there, WHO formally adds ELAN to PrEP implementation guidance following a positive efficacy and safety data. Remember, we are data driven. So once we had satisfied safety and efficacy data, it was then added as a PrEP under a PrEP implementation guidance. Then Guabanamagrass that were approved for land and HIV prevention in for adults at risk. Gilead and Global Fund, PEPFAR, outline access strategies. I'm trying to shift my head so that we can see access strategies and pricing for lower to middle income countries, where me and you, well, where some of us are, low to middle income countries, leveraging voluntary licensing mechanisms. To those that are asking so much about the price. Now, my price because my conversations, because they have to be adjusted, right? We are not all carrying the same currency that weighs the same. So my prices, they will be adjustable according to where we are. September 2025, Gates Foundation. Fast forward to September 2025. Now we can see that Gates Foundation, as well as the UNITAID and Global Fund, initiated investment planning to underwrite early procurement. We still have procurement stories that we have to go through. Anyway, and pilot introduction. PEPFAR finalizes the technical guidance for implementation in demonstration of early access sites. And then October 25, SAPRA now, here we come in South Africa. Yes. Too excited about it. He approved ELAN for PrEP, SAPRA. WHO issues operational guidance for country introduction. Then now we have a green light. Go, right? For initial country level procurement, supply chain preparation, and community engagement to ensure equitable access. Remember, all of this, we still need to talk about e-access. E-access is when, for instance, now it's going to be an HIV prevention meds. Is it going to be accessible to those in need? Because we can't give it to everybody. Namni healthcare worker manj. I'm one of the researchers, right? We are in the forefront, but I can't get it based on my proximity and the knowledge I have or that I would have access. No, it's going to be prioritized to those that are at increased risk, right? So e-access talks to, can we, especially those that are underserved, are in remote areas, are normally marginalized, and they have poor access to care. How do we ensure that? Anyway, I'm just showing you because I wanted to talk about all of this, because really it's important to know that there's this pragmatic regulatory steps that had to be followed to ensure Guti Lento is safe, number one. Number two, it works. You know, it cannot just be given to people without being proven to, but it has all of this. So there's been like this regulatory harmonization, coordinated efforts with global reviews. I told you that it's very strict. Scholars know what is still must peer review. It is not just, and these are the much more way stricter peer review ever existed at global scale. You know, so there's been these coordinated global reviews across the FDA, Europe, European regulatory as well, WHO, and the country regulatory now being SAPRA, for instance, that shortened the leg, access or to low to middle income countries. So implementation readiness talks to for us to roll it out, right? The guidance from IPEPFA and WHO will shape inclusion in national HIV prevention portfolios for 2026 and supply cost consideration. That's going to be parallel commitments from Gilead Global Fund and philanthropic philanthropists to donate and help us baslas but 50-50 because we really can't afford stuff. We are not as financially empowered, so we're still dependent much, of which I hope we work towards changing that fact. Currently, we're still dependent much on some donors, some philanthropists, and partners to aim at assisting us so that we can have it. So as South Africa, we are the leading with new burden, so we need it much. Epidemiological impact. I won't end without getting there. Modeling suggests that ELAN could markedly improve PrEP adherence. I did tell you, Guti, clinical trials, we already seen Guti, it was much more tolerated, it was much more chosen, and adherence is better. I mean, you get your injection once in 6 months, unlike swallowing a pill every single day, or vaginal ring, you have to put that thing in your vagina every other month, So here, if you get an injection once off in a month, in a year, so it means adherence is automatically much more better, right? So yeah, and operational research priorities, issues of pharmacovigilance, resistance monitoring, especially capsid resistance. We know Gutilen, it's a capsid inhibitor. So like they'll include the monitoring studies in place that monitors and ensure indaba zama-resistance ukuthi zihamba kanjani. Kodwa ke, my dear people, from a clinician and epidemiological lens, yes, the drug has regulatory green light in key markets, including South Africa, which is super exciting for us, that are an epicenter for HIV, and the US and global endorsement via WHO. But this green light that we've gotten does not mean it is widely available today in any hospital or any clinic, right? The access distribution integration into the existing national programs is still at an early stage. So for countries or institutions they still ought to verify that the national regulations allows it. The other countries, we to say as already it has, that it's also a supply chain, how ready it is, budgeting, procurement plan, clinical guidelines, right, needs to be updated. So there's still so much that needs to be done, but it's better than what we already have achieved. But I wanted to answer that, but it doesn't mean icona right away right now. So there's still all those that needs to be taken into consideration. So the key steps ahead for South Africa and similar settings as us, updating the national HIV prevention guidelines. They need to be inclusive now of this LAN and define eligibility criteria, delivery modes, monitoring and safety. All those things needs to be stipulated and be clear in our guidelines. Submission assessment for LAN for inclusion in the national essential medicine list. You can't have any product that is not in the essential medicine list. That's a committee on its own. That's some sort of regulator on its own. So kumele iyopasa lapho ikhonuba included by the National Medicines Authority and Health Ministry. Secure pricing agreements. Now we need to know exactly where we stand in terms of pricing, generic manufacturing, procurement contracts to make the medicine affordable, and how do we scale it up, be available to all that needs it. Planning for roll-out, supply chain, provider training, those that are going to be giving this, they need to be well trained. Demand generation, monitoring of uptake, adherence, safety, as well as resistance in real world effectiveness. So we need to align public funding as well to include this new drug. My time is up. So there'll be continuous evaluation to justify the inclusion and the scaling up. So yeah, my time is up, but I hope you get it. We came a very long way from the clinical trials. We are here now, but we still have a bit more to do in terms of regulations internally to make sure that we are on par and we are ready to start giving it to the people that deserve to be protected, that are at increased risk. So if you have any questions, you'll drop them.